Any quick questions while you're on? I'll answer anything since you guys have been so patiently and just hanging out with me, trying to help me. It's strange. I haven't had this issue with the hissing before. So that's why I'm not sure if it's something to do with my setup on OBS or if it's with the preamp. Well, Electric Omega, since you're on here now, if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Tell me something to watch on Shudder before I go to sleep tonight. Resurrection. It's an outstanding movie with Rebecca Hall. Not a lot of people are talking about it. It never got in theaters as far as I know. It was only streaming. You could only rent it when it was first released, but now it's on Shudder. And it might be Rebecca Hall's best performance. As much as I loved her in The Night House, she was amazing in Resurrection. Such a good movie. The acting is what really carries it. It's wild, but it's very, very good. Anyone else have any questions? Well, they got me while I'm here. Artemis, you'd be 3 hours ahead of time. So for you, it'll be 5 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 2 o'clock Eastern or Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern time, which is why I'm doing it a little bit early. One, I have a showing for Christmas Bloody Christmas tomorrow night that I'm going to go to so that I can do a review for you guys. But then also for everybody on the East Coast, I want to make sure that I'm doing this at a time where you guys can watch too. Yeah, I love Bloody Hell. Bloody Hell is a blast. I have, who was that? Gary. I have watched some European. I really enjoy a lot of the ones that I've watched. Not probably as many as I should, but I've definitely. I just have I only have the one eye for the most part. I can't really see it all out of this eye, and it's just really hard for me to read subtitles a lot of times, especially if I'm tired, and especially if I'm watching a lot of movies back to back to back and editing and whatnot, like I'm doing on this channel. So I don't watch a lot of subtitled movies like I wish I could, or what I wish I should. Yeah, I saw Kimberlyn. I saw that comment yesterday. I did add it to my queue, so I just did a Tubi video today. But in a couple weeks, when I do another Tubi list, I'll definitely check that out, or at least have it on my list. I'm not no promises that it'll make the video for sure, but I'll definitely check it out. East Coast managed to tune in. Nice. Well, this wasn't really meant to be a full-on live stream, but I guess since you guys are here, we can hang out for a little bit. But yeah, I'm working right now on my video for next week, which is going to be my 10 favorite Christmas horror movies of all time. Or at least what I consider to be the 10 best. So it's kind of like a little mixture between the best, or what I think are the best made movies, so to speak, and the ones that I enjoy the most. I kind of take those two things and try to pick 10 movies that fit in that. Yeah, I love the movie Hal. That I had to recommend. I've recommended it a while back, but I just love werewolf movies. But that's one of the ones I've had the most fun with in recent memory. Let's see here. Have you seen Inside about the pregnant woman? So yes, that movie is so brutal. That if you guys haven't seen Inside, it's kind of a French extremist in a way. Very, very gory, very, very brutal. Has one of the more horrific scenes towards the end you'll ever see. It's a brutal movie. Really good though, but really brutal. I haven't walked out of very many movies. I think I walked out of the second Hobbit movie. But that was mostly to do with the visuals. The 3D, I can't see 3D. And so I'll wear the 3D glasses and they make the screen look, for the most part, clear. They don't do anything good for me, but they at least make it a little bit more clear, right? But with that movie, I don't know what was going on, but it was just, I couldn't take it. It was making me nauseous. And then on top of it, the movie I just thought was boring and trash. And so I walked out on that movie. But I don't remember really walking out of a movie because I didn't like it. Like, that was mostly to do with my eyes. Yeah, Late Phases is fantastic. I've recommended Late Phases a bunch of times. It's always on Amazon Prime. And I've mentioned that movie numerous times. It's so good. And such a unique, fresh take on werewolves. I love it. Devil's Backbone. Isn't that Guillermo del Toro's first movie? I still need to check that out. I have not seen that one, though. Oh, the mic sounds okay now? Nice, okay. Let's see. Moonlight Macabre, I can't say your name, sorry. Moonlight Macabre, I just dropped a Tubi video today. So if you go to the channel, it just came out a few hours ago, and it's 10 recommendations on Tubi right now. I also drop Tubi list every 3 or 4 weeks. Like, that's my number one go-to place for horror movies. Yes, I did watch Yummy. I don't think I ever finished it. I forget why, but I was really enjoying it. I just remember it was super gory and a lot of fun. It was a little bit silly, but I don't know. I was enjoying it. I need to finish watching that one. I can't remember why I stopped watching that movie. I was enjoying it though, so it is cool, at least for the most part, what I remember seeing. But I don't remember. Have you seen Cursed? Oh, I loved Cursed. I recommended Cursed. Or hold on, which one are you talking about? Which Cursed? Are you talking about Cursed, a Red Pill, or Hangover? Are you talking a Red Pill, Hangover? Are you talking about the Cursed that came out early this year, or are you talking about Cursed, the old one by Wes Craven? Either way, I love both those movies, but I'm very disappointed that not more people have talked about the Curse that came out early this year, because I thought it was a beautiful movie and really unique and creative and epic, just a lot of fun, and nobody seems to talk about it. That's one of the first horror movies you've ever seen. I think the first horror movie I ever saw was probably Jurassic Park, although it's not exactly horror. So the first real true blue horror movie I ever saw was Pet Sematary, which, if you go listen to the second episode of my podcast that I put out last week, if you guys don't know already, I have a podcast now, the Ghost Pirate Podcast, and it's on every streaming service. Like, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, you could find the podcast, the Ghost Pirate Podcast. And episode 2, I talk a lot about my first horror movie experience, but it was Pet Sematary 2, or no, not Pet Sematary 2, Pet Sematary 1, the first one, the one from the 80s, and I love it. Such a good movie, but it scared the bejesus out of me. I was very jaded and different at the time. I was pretty young and hadn't really watched any horror movies up to that point, except for a few things here and there. So, but yeah. Go listen to the podcast. I go a lot more into that story and talk about how my experience with horror early on in my life. Let's see here. What was your favorite werewolf movie before 2000? Probably American Werewolf in London. Yeah, I think American Werewolf. Yeah, before 2000, it's got to be American Werewolf. Although there are, like, The Howling was good. The first one. Let's see. I know I'm missing some of you guys. Sorry. I'm trying to keep up. Tubi is just loaded with content. Yeah, Tubi is. My favorite Donald Pleasance. I think probably oh, I'm blanking on the name of the movie all of a sudden. It's the John Carpenter movie with him. Oh my god, I'm totally blanking on it. I'm horrible with names sometimes. Like I have too many movies in my head, and I blank on a lot of the movies, even if it's a movie I love. What movie have I been thinking of? Oh, Prince of Darkness. I think that's probably my favorite Donald Pleasant movie besides Halloween. Although I know he's got some older movies that I haven't ever seen him in. I've only seen him really in the horror stuff that he's been in. Oh yeah, I loved Electro Omega. I loved the Gwar documentary as well. Although I've heard some more diehard Gwar fans were kind of disappointed in it because it really gave a kind of jaded perspective on it from only like really one side of the story sort of thing. It didn't really go deep into all sides and what is more of what the real picture is. It was a little bit kind of one-sided. But I still really enjoyed it. I don't know a ton about Gwar, but I very much enjoyed it. Let's see. It's a horror, but you know the movie Pie from... Pie, are you talking... I don't know if I know the movie you're talking about, ER. It's just called P.I.? I thought you were talking about The Life of Pi, which is a great movie, but not horror. But I don't think you're talking about that one, so I'm not sure. So glad you got me to Phantasm again. I watched them all, but part 2 yesterday. I love the Phantasm movies. For anybody who doesn't know, the Phantasm movie, the original Phantasm, the first one, is my all-time favorite movie. But the series in general... I did a whole review on the channel, actually, of all of the movies. Early on, it was one of the first things I did on this channel, but I love the Phantasm movies. I know they're not for everyone, but I love them. I'm not a youngster. I am far from a youngster. I'm an 80s kid. Thank you so much on Flightless Bird said, congrats on 10K. Thank you so much, but that's really you guys. You guys made that happen. It wasn't YouTube because they're not really pushing... They don't really push horror like they really should. So it's you guys sharing with each other, talking about it, watching the channel. That's what's making it grow. It's not the algorithm. So I appreciate you guys so much for that. You guys are helping to make my dream come true of being able to do this full time. So I'm hopefully about a year away or less from being able to do this full time. So if you hillbilly or I don't know, but I agree there should be more hillbilly. I don't know if I'd say hillbilly as much as just the hills, like legends from the hills, like the movie like Pumpkinhead. It's fantastic. I love that movie. I wish there was more movies like. They had the mythos and lore and stuff of the Hills people. I think there's so many untapped stories and legends that are just not talked about enough. I love The Cursed with Christina Ricci as well. And it's a shame that Wes Craven was never able to release the version that he wanted and that it was toned down and wasn't the movie that he had envisioned. Someday, fingers crossed, we'll get the Craven cut and we can see what he had envisioned, because it was supposed to be a much different movie. The Breach, I don't know. It sounds familiar, but I Red Pill Hangover. I'm not sure. You said the Slash produced The Breach. I'm trying to remember what that is. I feel like that's that new movie that is coming out. Or did it come out? I don't know. Explain, because I don't remember. I know the name sounds familiar. Prince of Darkness with the green gloop. Yeah, Prince of Darkness is much you're saying. Prince of Darkness. Another show. My friend taught her guitar lessons. Horror Hitcher. Oh my god, has anyone seen Whir? Oh, love Whir. Whir is so underrated. It is one of the best werewolf movies out there too. I love that one. Of course, Dog Soldiers is probably the best, or at least what I think is the most badass werewolf movie of the last 20 years, but Whir is up there as well. Compared to you, Scott, I'm a youngster. I definitely don't feel like a youngster. With the Criminal Minds girl. Yeah. And she's great in it, too. That's just such a good movie. It's amazing that more people don't know of Whir. I did a full review on the channel of it, and I've promoted it a couple times. Like, it's just... And every time, a bunch of people are like, oh, whoa, never heard of this movie. And it just blows me away. Because there's a lot of fans of werewolf movies. And you'd think that movie would get more love, because it's really good. Tomorrow, Thanksgiving for the test stream. I started Jug Face, and it just was so low budget and bad acting. I just could not get into it. I do need to give it another chance though, because a lot of you guys have mentioned it, and so I feel like maybe once it gets going, it becomes worth watching. But at least what I watched of the first, like, I don't know, little bit of it, I was just like, oh man, I can't do this acting. Yeah, Dog Soldiers is amazing. I always go to Century. And that's blasphemous because I don't manage a Century. I manage a different movie theater. But I prefer going to Century. Their seats are better. And then the big one, they have heated seats. So my lower back, where it hurts and arthritis and all that, just heats up my lower back and it just makes me relax. I love it. But I go to a lot of screenings these days. And so you don't really pick the theater you go to. You just go to wherever the media screening is going to be. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's at Century. It's almost always at Century. They're one of the best for doing the media screenings. I don't know all the legalities and details behind that. I've tried to get my theater company to get more involved with the screenings, but my company is kind of lame. never gets into all that stuff. So does the audio sound good now? Because I tweaked with it quite a bit. You guys think this is at least good enough to do my live stream tomorrow? Just watched a ghost story with Casey Affleck. Was totally blown away. Have you seen? I think I've seen a ghost story. Isn't that the one where it's just like a sheet? Like he's just basically running around as a sheet ghost. Very, very sad if it's the movie I'm thinking of. Beautifully done. I don't know if I'd say it as a horror movie. It's much more of a drama, but beautifully done movie. But it was pretty sad. I remember feeling kind of down. Let's see. You work at Cinemark? Yeah, Cinemark is Century, I believe. I just think that we call it Century out here. Or maybe it is just Cinemark now. But yeah, it's the same theater company you're talking about. Have you seen the NZ horror comedy Black Sheep? I've had a couple people mention it. I think it's on Tubi. I think I added it into my queue. Maybe it was you, Horror Hitcher, that recommended it, but zombies. Electric Omega, are you talking about the old Fulci movie Zombies? The audio sounds much better. Awesome. I grew up with Romero, always zombies. Yeah, Romero is the man. I went on a Romero streak this year, just for fun, watching a lot of his old movies, like rewatching a lot of his movies. They're just always so good. They're probably one of the most, at least for me, some of the most rewatchable horror movies ever made. Yeah, Scott Thomas. That's a beautiful movie. Very beautiful movie. But I try not to watch super sad movies very often because I don't know, man. I'm not the most mentally stable guy all the time, and I am pretty lonely a lot. So I don't like to get too down and sad. It just kind of sucks. But I do watch some from time to time. Beautiful, powerful movies, and that was a really good movie. Choose one genre. Okay, zombies, werewolves. No question, werewolves for me. I do love zombie movies. I do love vampire movies, and it really depends on the movie. Because, like in the vampire genre, there's just I don't know. It's 30 Days of Night. It's probably my favorite vampire movie, and then in the zombie, it's probably Dawn of the Dead. But I mean, it's just I love horror. So it's really hard. It's like picking your children. But if I had to choose, I'm always going to be more excited for a werewolf movie. Even though there's way less good werewolf movies than there is other genres. But yeah. So definitely werewolves. Definitely watch Black Sheep. Make horror films. Yeah, I feel like I've watched a couple New Zealand horror movies, and I'm always super impressed. I'm pretty bad at remembering where a lot of movies are from. A lot of it is I just watch so many movies and talk about so many movies now. But I do know that I'm always impressed with the movies that come out of New Zealand, especially in the horror genre. And they're always gorgeous movies, too. I try to keep... I mean, look at me. Don't I look like werewolf guy? I mean, if I had to choose, I'd probably go with satanic movies. Like ones that to do with like the occult and stuff. Those are fucking badass. Like I love those kind of movies. But as far as those three, I'm going to always go with werewolf. I try to keep my horror kind of on the fun side. Yeah, see, that's how I am too. I prefer the fun horror. But I watch everything. But if I'm, given a choice, I'm always going to pick the more fun kind of horror movies that I have fun with in general. I love From Dusk Till Dawn. I don't know if I've ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn 2. I know it's like straight to DVD kind of movie, but I don't know if I've ever seen it. Yeah, Fright Night, the original, is amazing. There's so many fantastic vampire movies. There's so many. I mean, like I said, it's like picking children. We're not talking about specific movies. I was just talking about as far as if I'm given a movie that I'm the most excited about, like say there's a new werewolf movie coming out, a new vampire movie coming out, and a new zombie movie coming out, I'm going to be way more excited for the werewolf movie. A lot of it just comes down to we don't get enough werewolf movies. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. We get so much zombie stuff and so much vampire stuff. When are we going to get the werewolf stuff? Like, come on, Hollywood. Let's get some werewolf movies. I think Housebound. Yeah, I've heard a bunch of you guys. Housebound is definitely on my queue right now on Tubi on the next batch as well. I've had a bunch of you guys mention Housebound, so I definitely want to check that one out. Early Peter Jackson, yeah, love early Peter Jackson. It's so fun, and yeah, he's from New Zealand too, right? Oh, I love Svengoolie. I grew up watching Svengoolie. I miss watching Svengoolie. I don't have cable, so I can't really watch him. I've been meaning to look into if there's a way to watch him online. I love Svengoolie. I actually, when I first started doing this channel, thought about doing the whole, horror host thing, like dressing up. Like one of my very favorite YouTube channels is Dr. Wolfula. And I thought about going that route, but I was like, instead, I just want to be me. I just want to always be 100% me and let that take me wherever it did. When I want to dress up, I dress up. If I want to do some fun mask or whatever, I do that. But I just want to be me all the time and not have to play, have to be this character. It's like some of you may not realize, but like I'm me. And when people say you're too loud or you're too whatever, it's like, I apologize, guys, but that's just me. I'm not trying to be extra whatever. I just get excited when I talk about movies. Love the classic 80s movie House. Love that movie. So much fun. Mulak was badass. That was on my last Shudder rec list, I believe. I loved that movie. That was very, very good. That's why I always say that Shudder is absolutely killing it. Like, that is the platform for original content. Like, Tubi is the best for just horror movies, period. But for original content that is indie, just super good storytelling, it's Shudder. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, thank you so much, Scott. You're the first person to donate on a live. I mean, I haven't done a live in a long time, but you are the very first person to donate, and I super, super appreciate that. Like, literally, every dollar really helps and goes back to this channel, so I appreciate that so much. Let's see. Early films are his best and funny. Yeah, I agree. But Peter Jackson did horror in the beginning, and it's a shame that he didn't go in that direction and continue to do horror. I would have loved to have seen what he would have done if he had continued down that road. Because yeah, Dead Alive is amazing. What is Friendly TV, Electric Omega? Yeah, it's on MeTV. I know that, but MeTV is only on cable, right? Or do you guys know of a way I can watch MeTV that's not on cable? And also, I work late Saturday nights. But I miss Svengoolie, man. I watched him for so many years, every Saturday night religiously. I would always get like my one treat dessert for the week and look forward to Svengoolie eating my dessert. It was literally my favorite night of the entire week. Yeah, I wear the patch all the time. When I'm just hanging out here by myself, I don't wear it. If I'm in my house, in my room or whatever, and I'm just by myself, I don't. I just have my eyes squinted like this all the time. But whenever I go live, I have it on. And if I go out, most of the time, I always wear it if I'm at work. It's just distracting more than anything, because it's not that the eye is completely blind. It still sees light, but my eyes are over-layered each other. It's a complicated issue in my eyes, but so the light and everything that comes in with this eye just gets in the way of this eye, and it startles me, it distracts me and all that. Even this eye closed, light still gets in and it's distracting. So it's just easier for me to focus. It makes me less nervous. It makes me, not think about my eye, if that makes sense. A lot of people think it's like a gimmick, and it's not a gimmick at all. Like, when I first got it, I was debating to even wear it on the channel, because I've been wanting to get a patch for a long time as the eye got worse and worse. But yeah, I wear it pretty much all the time. I don't have TV. I literally put everything on the MacBook, on my iPad, or not iPad, my tablet, or my phone. Everything's on there. So if someone's into zombies, please check out Battery, directed by Jeremy Gardner. What? I love Jeremy Gardner. I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Gardner. How have I never heard of Battery? ER, do you have any idea where I could watch Battery? Like, is it streaming anywhere? Whoa. So, Electric Omega is is Friendly. Is it an app you download, or how does it work? This $10 is not bad. What's up, Cecil? Yeah, definitely. Up All Night with Elvira. And then, wasn't it like Susan Strand? Didn't she do one too on HBO or something? Or no? What am I thinking of? I feel like she did a thing too. But yeah, I love Elvira. Definitely Elvira. But I didn't get to watch TV growing up, so I didn't get to really see Elvira's Up All Night until I was like a little bit older, teenage years. If it's not too personal, what happened to your eye? It's not too personal. It's just a very complicated story that goes into a lot of backstory on me. But basically, my mom is she's a religious zealot to the point of like cultish, wild stuff I don't even want to go into. But she didn't believe in modern medicine when I was a kid, and I got this eye infection. And my eye was literally popping out of the socket. It was so infected. And she let it go. And then finally talked to someone, and they told her that she needed to release the pressure that was in it, or I was going to lose my eye. Still didn't take me to the doctor. And I was about 6 years old, I think. Anyway, she took a needle and popped it. And it drained and it drained and it drained for months and months. And when it was over, I could still see out of the eye, but this eye looks way off this way. This eye is straight. This eye looks way off this way. Or actually, it was flipped at the time. So this was the eye that looked way off, and this one looked straight because the first one happened here. Then it finally healed, but I was left with eyes that looked basically opposite directions. Then years later, it happened again. And that time, it ended up flipping. And so that, from then forward, I always looked straight with this eye, and this eye just looked off. And then over time of not using this eye, because I can't ever look at any one thing with both eyes. It's always, and it's way, way off. Like, here, let me see if you can see. See? I mean, it looks way off over there. But over years of not using it, it's gotten to where the eyesight is just very, very limited. And like I said, the little bit of eyesight that it does have, all it does is just get in the way of this eye, because it looks like you took a panel of see-through glass with images on it and put it in front of your eye. And so I've been this way since I was about 6 years old. So it's just a life I've gotten used to. I don't know any other way at this point. So, the bladder is playing free on Canopy. Never heard of Canopy. Man, you guys are teaching me all kinds of stuff. All right, I'll have to check out Canopy. Is Canopy a streaming service? My Film's Arrogant. Been watching your channel for a while, so I'm really glad you liked my directing. Thanks, man. Hey, everyone. David Willing, the director of Surrogate, is in the house. Yeah, I didn't respond to you, David, just because I wanted to review your movie completely honestly, you know, and put if it was going to go on the channel, I wanted it to deserve to be on here, not be on here because I was just trying to help out, you know, a filmmaker, but because I actually thought it was legit. And I figured that you'd hopefully see it. But yeah, guys, if you haven't seen Surrogate, you really need to watch it. It is an absolute hidden gem. And it's wild that, yeah, just check it out. Just trust me. It's worth your time. If you enjoy small indie horror, you really got to check it out. But I appreciate you being here, man. Let's see. Holy fuck, bro. Yeah, Cecil, you don't even know the half of my life, man. Yeah, I've had some shit. Whatever. We all got stuff, right? I could see House being scary as a kid. Yeah. House is scary, I think, as a kid because it's so weird. You know, it's... Even as an adult, there's just a lot of weird imagery and stuff that happens in that movie that has, like, this kind of extra weird, creepy vibe about it. Surrogate is on Tubi. That it's on the list I posted today. The video I posted today for Tubi. It's streaming right now on Tubi and definitely worth watching. So definitely go over there and watch it, guys. Show some love and support for a small filmmaker. No fees, signups. Okay, I'm definitely going to check out Canopy. I totally respect you wanted to be honest in your review. Amanda. Hey, Amanda. Amanda's like one of my BFFs from Patreon. I talk to her just about every day. She's a super rad chick. And does badass hair, too. If I had hair, I would go to Amanda to do my hair. But I don't have hair, so I can't. Let's see. Go to nostalgia movies, The Lost Boys. Man, I've watched Lost Boys numerous times, but I went to the drive-ins last year. I think maybe it was in 2020. I don't know. The last couple years have completely smushed together. But I went and saw it at the drive-ins a few years ago, and I was just so blown away how fresh it is even to this day. The Lost Boys, I swear, could come out right now and still be a smash in theaters. Especially with everything going on with this kind of nostalgic 80s style and vibe that's coming out now because of Stranger Things and things like that. Man, Lost Boys would absolutely kill it right now. Those guys in the movie are so cool. The music's great. Still absolutely love Lost Boys. Such a good timeless classic. Let's see. David, are you working on a new film currently? Yeah, I'm curious about that too. David, are you working on a new... Whoa, writing 3 films at the moment. Nice. Definitely, David, keep me posted on any new projects you have coming up. I'd love to, maybe when the podcast... Because I would try to have you on the podcast or something now to help you out, but it's so tiny it would really not be worth your time. But maybe when the podcast grows a little and it's actually getting out there to people, it'd be worth coming on and talking about some of your projects or something. But definitely keep in touch. I would love to at least hear about anything you're doing, man. You're a musician too. I was a singer of a few bands for many, many years. There's actually one of my last bands, or it was my last band. My last band's music video is online. If you type in Graven Image, GRAVEN, second word image, IMAGE, hands around your neck. So Graven Image, hands around your neck. If you type that in YouTube, you will see me from getting close to 20 years ago now, from like 2005-ish. But I'm still proud of that video, still proud of that band. And then I was in a band called Mahala that got so close, man. We almost got a record deal with Roadrunner. We were this close, and then sadly, things tore us apart. A lot of it was my health, and either way it ended. But the beginning of all my videos, the music, that little intro music thing, that was my guitar player, Josh Williams, and he plays that guitar there, but he was the guitar player in my band Mahala, and he's a filmmaker too, who did the movie 2025 Red, White, and Blue that I reviewed and posted up on the channel not too long ago as well. His movie is also on Tubi, so thank you so much, Red Pill Hangover. You guys are awesome. I watched Speak No Evil. Yeah, Speak No Evil is so brutal, man. You hated it. Why? Because it was depressing? It's a fucked up movie. Like, seriously fucked up movie. But I think it's... You may not like it because it's pretty horrible as far as... But it's beautifully made. It's such a well done movie. And like, I hated what happened, but I can't deny how well done it is. Hell yeah. I would love to talk about high and lowbrow horror, man. That's a great subject that I'm always down to talk about. Nothing happens to an hour 15. Yeah, it's a very, very slow burn. But I think that's the power of it. It's hard to watch a lot of movies like that. And I get that. It took me a long time to be able to watch movies like that. But it's like if you get there, if you can get to that point, then it has so much power when it gets going, and when these things happen, it just hits you like a freight train. And that movie does. So you're a bald horror musician guy as well, Red Pill? Yeah, I've been bald since I was 17. My hair started falling out in the shower when I was 17. I had long hair, believe it or not, at that time. It was down like at least to here. I miss having hair a lot of times, but I feel like I own this bald dome. Elevated horror. I don't really know why people hate that term so much. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, because saying it's elevated horror means that it's like, to most people, they think of it as being it thinks it's above other horror. I don't really see it that way, but I don't use that term because I kind of get where people are coming from. But it's more of like artsy horror, and that's why I use the term artsy horror, because it's more of this slow burn, emotional based horror than it is like an action, kind of thing. But it's hard, man. Terms are hard to come up with, because for any great term, there's always going to be some people that see it in a different way. I just don't really like to put labels for. I prefer to not put labels on a lot of stuff, even though I do. You can't help it, right? I mean, the only way to explain to people, what something is a lot of times, is putting a label on it. The freight train that pissed you off. I think what makes your channel so good is your energy. Most horror channels seem subdued next to this. Thank you. It's why I say horror can be fun, man. I just like to have fun with it. Like, this is so much fun to me. It's so much fun to create these things and be a part of this community. There's just so much art and creativity involved in horror, and that's why it's such an important genre to me, and why I want to be involved in it, because I've always done artistic types of things and been involved in it in one way or another. Like, I did modern art for about 10 years, paintings and sculptures and things like that. And if it wasn't for my hands having issues, I probably would still be doing art. But I just love the creativity behind things, like the creative mind. And horror, to me, is the best genre there is for being creative and original and unique. I think Barbarian is a really fun line that it draws. It's kind of like walking that line, because there's elements of it that have this artistic, creative, like artsy kind of horror element, but then it has a lot of true blue, paved in stone that's been used forever horror tropes, and it toys with those. Where it was the most unique to me is the pacing of it. The way it throws things at you, and it feels like you're watching 2 to 3 different movies. And it felt in a lot of ways kind of like abstract art. Like, my favorite abstract art is the type of art when you're throwing these things together to the point where it's almost like with clothes, right? Where you put a shirt and pants that don't match at all, and they're so polar opposite that they somehow come back around to themselves and match again. And you put the right accessories with it, and somehow you marry these two things together that have no business being together. And that's what that movie did so well. And that in of itself, I felt like was the artsy, elevated, quote unquote, elevated horror element about it. But it's more of modern horror, I think is the right term for it. It's this kind of unique new direction horror is going. Like, I thought that's what was so great about Smile, too. Smile had that, too. And a lot of people see, oh, these movies are just doing the same thing that's been done before. It's like, yeah, everything's been done in one way or another, but it's how you do it. It's the spins you put on it. It's the unique little nuances here and there that give it this different vibe, this different energy, and it becomes this new thing. And that's what we've had so many movies, in my opinion, that were so good this year because of that. It wasn't like I'm saying they're all the most original, never been done type of movies. Like, I just don't think that's really possible anymore. There's been so many things done, but it's how you put it. Can you do something unique with it? Can you put a unique wrinkle and spin and fresh look on it to where it becomes this new thing? I've thought about one day being involved in a horror movie. One of my major goals with this channel, and it may never happen because I don't know if this channel will ever be big enough to do it, but if I were to ever make enough money and enough of an impact on the I can't talk all of a sudden, on the horror world with this channel, I would want to, at the very least, produce movies. It's a dream of mine to one day act in one. I want to be some like psycho killer kind of guy. I don't want to wear a mask. I want to be just this psychopathic guy who just loses his brain. And I would love to find someday a role that I would actually be good in. If I'm not good in it, I don't want to be in it because I don't want to just be in a movie to be in it. I want to actually add something. But more than that, I want to help produce movies. The dream would be to tell in some way, even if it's just helping to promote horror movies, I want to be involved in that and helping more of them to exist. Like, I love what they're doing over on the YouTube channel Alter. Like, it's just phenomenal. Holy shit, Josh. That's one of my oldest friends, Josh Phillips. He was the bass player in that band I was telling you about, Mahala, the very first bass player of that band. And he was a savage. He had energy. He taught me in a lot of ways how to be more fun and have more fun and let loose in life. Like, believe it or not, I was uptight compared to that guy, man. He is so much fun, just bouncing off the walls. I remember one time we were playing a show, and he fell through the stage. He was just jumping around like a madman and fell through the stage. It wasn't his fault. The stage was broken, but I look over, dude fell through the stage, and he's still jamming, still fucking playing on the bass, like, didn't miss a beat. Such a beast. But thank you so much, man. Merry Christmas to you. That's amazing. Let's see. He worked for Chris Stuckman. Yeah, I love what Chris Stuckman's been able to do, and I even love it even more, the fact that he's doing a horror movie. Because his roots aren't in horror. He could have done any other genre, but I love that he chose to go in the horror direction, so there's just another movie. And then the Dead Meat channel, they're producing their own horror movie right now. So they actually just released like the first 10-second little snippet of what the movie's going to be. It's not the actual footage from the movie. It's kind of a little test screening type of thing, a proof of, what do they call it? Proof of concept. But yeah, I mean, I love that these creators are making them, and like I said, I love the YouTube channel Alter. Like, all these amazing shorts, like 10-minute horror movies that are just amazingly produced, just gorgeously done movies. It's absolutely amazing. I think going bald sucked more as a metalhead because of headbanging. I know. You know how much neck pain I've had through the years because I've had to hang, swing my neck without hair. But I got comfortable with it. I got good at it. Yeah, I would love it if my beard grew long enough to do a braid in it, but it doesn't. This is This is what I got. I don't get much more than this beard. Let's see. Merry Christmas, Josh. What an amazing... I know. That's so sweet, man. Yep, fucking little Josh. Josh Phillips. Both you and Chris Stuckman came from religious backgrounds. Yeah. I loved Chris Stuckman's video. Even though I have a kind of... It was a different religion... I identified so much with so much of what he talked about. Like, believe it or not, mine was even more sheltered and even more rough. I wasn't even allowed to go to school. Like, it's very, very complicated. But I was able to identify so much with what Chris Stuckman talked about in that video. It really moved me and touched me. You know, I wish I knew the guy personally so I could tell him how much I appreciated him coming out and talking about that, because it's not easy to talk about things like that. And just like him, I don't really have anything to do with my family either. I definitely don't have anything to do with my parents. And other than my two sisters, I don't really have anything to do with any of my family. And a lot of it's religion, especially with my parents, it's to do with crazy beliefs, not just religion, but just destructive beliefs and people in general. So you wrote a horror screenplay? How long is it? I'm really horrible at reading, man. If you do an audio version, I'm all in. I don't know. I'll check it out, dude. It might take me a while because I'm really bad at reading. It's complicated. I have dyslexia on top of the eyesight problem, but love my shirt. Oh, what am I wearing? Oh, an old Creep Show shirt. Yeah, I just ran to the grocery store, got some food, just finished eating and wanted to test this out, try to get it set up for tomorrow, and then now it's turned into, I don't know how long I've been on here, like over an hour, I think. You guys have just been a lot of fun to hang out with. What's up? I don't know how to say your name, L-A-F-C Beast. Laugh Beast, Leif's Beast. I don't know what it stands for, but it's hard to say, but I see you all the time and love your support and appreciate it, man. Why don't you, Chris, do a review together? Well, because Chris is super huge YouTuber and famous, and I don't even have a way to contact him. And I'm a little itty bitty guy. I basically don't even exist yet on the YouTube algorithm's brain. Like, hopefully another year or so and I'll start to matter some more, but like right now I don't even exist. Like, I can hit those guys up and none of them will acknowledge me because I'm just so tiny, and it's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not angry about it. It takes time. You got to pay your dues and you got to build, and I'm good with that. I just try to focus on one video at a time. But it would be very cool one day to meet up with Chris, though. I would love to meet that guy. I feel like me and him have a lot in common. My ex-wife had a similar situation in Christian Science. Yeah, Christian Science is famous for a lot of that kind of stuff. Mine was like kind of weird. It was kind of like, it was cultish, but a lot of it was made up in her own mind. She is a paranoid schizophrenic, and she created these really bizarre beliefs. She would lock herself in her room and read the Bible for days and days and days. And yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Like, it's pretty wild. And growing up was pretty hard on my sisters and myself. But what are you gonna do? You know, you just persevere and just become who you're meant to be, and try not to be affected by that as little as, try to be affected by it as little as you can. It's an easy read. I direct as I write. Oh, nice. I think you'll get lost in it, so reading it won't seem like a chore. Oh, look at that! Brian joined the... He subscribed to the channel. What's up, Brian? That's awesome. I think you're the third channel member. I don't even know how to use the channel membership thing. Like, I know you get to use the logo, but I don't know, like, how to do unique things with you guys. But there's 3 of you members, and I very much appreciate you guys. You guys are badass. No matter what, though, you get to use the logo, which I think that's pretty awesome to have the logo seeing you. You know, and I look down the thing and I see you at the eye. That's pretty dope. What made you become a YouTuber after your music career? It was 2020, and my art, everything just fell apart. All the art shows got canceled because of COVID, and everything just fell apart, and I couldn't do any of my shows. And then I started having some really bad medical problems. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was just like throwing up all the time, seeing doctors all the time, trying to figure out what was going on with me, but I was very weak. I couldn't do much. And I was just trying to find a way to stay busy. And so, like a lot of you guys, I was just trying to find things to watch. I was watching, you know, horror movies all the time and trying to find stuff. And I would sit there and scroll for hours and hours through these streaming services. And it was maddening. Like, you end up spending more time, you know, scrolling than you do watching movies half the time. And I was just getting so frustrated with it. And so finally, I would find one. And whenever I did, I would just be so excited. I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I finally found this movie, and I wanted to tell people, but I didn't really have anybody to tell because we're all locked down, you know. So I started joining different Facebook groups, horror groups, and talking to people on there a little bit. And I was always hit with the same thing. People were constantly asking, what horror movies should I watch? What should I watch? What should I watch? What should I watch? And I was like, nobody's out there recommending horror movies on a weekly basis. Like, back in the day, we used to have a TV guide, and you would look in the TV guide, and you'd find things to watch. And so I saw Flick Connection. He had a channel, and he was the only person recommending movies, like, on a regular basis. But and I love Flick Connection. Like, his stuff is awesome. His is a great channel, but he doesn't really do horror movies. He does mostly action, you know, with a little bit of horror thrown in there. He has a variety of movies, but it's not just strictly horror. And I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to ever see this, but even if just one person sees these recommendations for these movies I'm finding, at least that's me helping out someone so they have something cool to watch, you know? And so it was really just born out of me wanting to help other people and have something to do. And then the more I did it, the more passion I have found for it, because it's a way for me to help this community that I've grown up with. That, you know, I've always been a fan of horror movies, and I identify as a fan of horror, and it goes with art, it goes with music, it goes with everything that I've always done. I've always done these other things, but horror movies have always been there, and the horror aesthetic, creatures, and the design of monsters, and the creation of all that I've always been into as well. Just everything about it has always been important to me, so I've just, you know, I've grown into it. The last couple of years, it's become my life. Everything I do, my whole entire daily routine, everything revolves around what I'm doing here. So, let's see. To quote the 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake, fuck the fucking fuckers. Hit the like button, everyone. Yeah, hit the like button. Always hit the like button, guys. That actually makes a big impact. Like, liking, and more than that, watching the entire videos. Like, when I post a video, even if you are busy and you may not, or you get bored, I don't know, whatever, leaving it on, just letting it play all the way to the end actually makes a huge difference. I'll take it. Thanks. I enjoyed the videos. Thanks, man. I appreciate the support, Brian. It's badass, dude. Cyclic vomiting syndrome? What is that? Yeah, it's the same here. Scrolling to find something. Yeah, it's really frustrating, and it also feels like you waste money for these streaming services half the time because you just don't know what really to watch on them. And a lot of times you just get sick of watching, sick of scrolling, and you end up watching something you've already seen a bunch of times. And so my channel hopefully helps you save money, helps you save time. Like, I really want to I want to be like a utility for horror fans. Yeah, if you're entertained by me and the channel, that's awesome. But it almost means more to me to know that I'm kind of saving people money and time and like helping to be a part of their routine. Like, should I go to the theaters and check out this movie? Let's see if Kanan recommends it, and I can help you, like I said, help you see better movies, help you find the things that you enjoy and not waste as much time, and also hopefully expose you to some stuff that you might not have heard of or seen otherwise. Like, that's just such a cool thing. Let's see here. Pirate, where is it? Here's the plot of my horror script. A serial killer goes after a girl, but the girl has a stalker. Ooh, that's an interesting concept. I like that already. That's a cool idea. Have you done a review of it? Yeah, I did a review of a classic horror story last December. It's on the channel if you go look for it. But I absolutely love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorite Christmas horror movies. If you watch next week's video that drop on Wednesday, it's my 10 favorite Christmas horror movies. And I'm telling you, that movie is definitely on there. That movie is so much fun. And they just added it to Shudder, which I was excited because I was like, crap, no one's playing this movie. And I feel like that's a movie everyone should watch every Christmas. And no one was streaming it. And then luckily all of a sudden Shudder dropped it. And I was like, hell yeah. So, have you done anything? What's your number one horror movie ever? My favorite horror movie of all time is Phantasm. And it's because it's so creative and it feels like a dream state. There's this real kind of fluid, artistic way about it that very much feels like a dream. Almost like it's not quite like an acid, dream, but it does have that out of body weird feel to it where you're never quite sure if the movie's even in the right order, or if you're, because sometimes you feel like you're seeing a part that might actually happen later or happen before. Like, the timeline is out of order. Everything just feels very unique, very strange, and I love it. I love everything about it. It's got an amazing soundtrack. The Tall Man is one of the creepiest horror villains ever. Just such a great movie. I have seen that movie, I don't even know how many times. To be honest, I might put that on tonight before I go to bed. I just love that movie. It's like comfort, like a warm blanket or warm sweater for me. Okay. Favorite movie of all time? It's probably still Phantasm. I mean, horror. Some people say they love horror, but they love all movies, and like that's Chris Stuckman. I don't know if I'd ever be able to be that because really it's horror. Like 99 out of 100 movies I see, if not more, are horror movies. It's very rare I watch anything that's not horror, or at least horror adjacent in some way. Like I just can't. Every now and then I'll go with my sister, or a friend or whatever, and we'll go see like a new comedy or an animated movie or something. But that's so rare. Like, I generally will see a lot of the biggest Marvel movies, but like I still haven't even seen Black Panther, and I work at a theater, so I can go see that movie for free. I never saw Black Adam. Like, I saw Spider-Man No Way Home last December. That counts, but yeah, it's all about horror. So my favorite movie probably is horror. Besides horror though, like The Godfather is up there. Scarface. I love the movie Seven, although that's still kind of horror. Fight Club, which is not horror, but I absolutely love the movie Fight Club. Like, I love movies too, but it's definitely horror for me. I loved A Classic Horror Story. It's full of tropes and noting new, but it's done so well. Black Christmas original. Yeah, the Black Christmas it's amazing to me how underrated that movie still is. It is such an amazing movie. It just blows my mind. It blows me away that, and I get why Halloween has become such a huge iconic movie because of Michael Myers. A lot of it's because of The Mask, but Black Christmas is a better movie, or at least as good as Halloween. And it really is always, in my opinion, deserved much more attention and more love than it gets. I actually wrote the story of Phantasm as my creative writing story in fourth grade. That's awesome. My teacher was back, and what a great imagination I have. A smart kid. Let's see, Red Pill Hangover. I once had a horror book script idea about 3-foot demon creature that comes out of the wall at night. I've always had this weird thing with walls. Like this weird mental thing where, I don't know, man, like where I almost picture putting my hands through soft walls. It's a very strange thing. It's hard to even put into words, but there's something always that has been creepy to me about walls. Like almost like walls could be a portal to another dimension somehow. It's hard to put into words. You guys know what I'm talking about, where there's this thing that's kind of on the edge of your brain where you just can't quite grab it, a hold of it to explain it, but it's still there. I don't know. I guess I sound crazy now. Yeah, don't talk about Fight Club. Bones and All gets pretty gory, but Bones and All is just a gorgeous movie. It's definitely not going to be for everyone. It is a bit of a slow burn too, but it's a little bit of more of that art house, artsy type of horror movie too, but it gets pretty fucking brutal. Like, it gets gory, and it has some scenes that, if you're squeamish at all, it'll get you. If you have any issues with body horror elements, gore in that way, I'm trying not to give anything away, because that is such a great movie that you definitely should watch it. But yeah, it gets pretty brutal, man. I love that movie. It probably won't make my top 10 list of the year, but it's up there. It's definitely close to my top 10 if it's not in there. I haven't officially figured out my top 10 yet. I got a pretty good idea of my top 10, but it's still a little bit loose, but I don't think that one's going to make it. Scott Thomas, I'm going to be releasing my best of 2020 after Christmas. So the first video after Christmas, that first Wednesday after Christmas, will be my best of 2022. And then in early 2023, I'll probably put out my most anticipated movies of the year in horror. I try to do one of those at the beginning of each year. I might instead do that on the podcast this year, though. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm definitely doing my top 10 of 2022. It's already on the schedule for that week. The schedule right now is this coming Wednesday will be my 10 favorite Christmas horror movies of all time. The week after that will be Shudder again, and it'll have a couple Christmas movies interwoven in there, but mostly it's just Shudder's throwing out some great stuff right now, so I want to cover that. So I'll do a Shudder list, and then the next video after that will be the best of 2022. And I don't know, I gotta look at the calendar. I'm not sure if there's one more Wednesday before the year's out. So I'm not sure what that last one will be, because it might be in, I don't know. Either way, I have the next 3 Wednesdays already planned out. So, what's your most prized possession in your collection, and do you mind sharing the story behind it? Give me 1 second. I used to have a ton more stuff, but this is my favorite thing that I have. It's not probably the most valuable. I don't know. I don't have a ton of valuable stuff anymore. I had a lot more stuff and a lot more valuable stuff, but I've had a long life and things been super broke at times, had to sell stuff, but mostly I've had a roommate steal a bunch of my horror collectibles. And then when I went through divorce, I lost a bunch of them and just moving around. I was couch hopping for a while, but this one I've been able to hang on to since I was in my early 20s, and my ex-wife gave it to me, and I love the movie Phantasm so much, and then I also very much love cars, and if I ever could have a dream car, it would be this car, and so this has always just meant so much to me, and it's one that I just have always hung on to. And you never see it. It's behind me always, but it's always sitting directly behind me on the set. I would display it, but there's just really not a place to display this on the set where you'd be able to even tell what it is. So it just sits behind me as kind of like a security blanket. Let's see. Sling Blade is a creepy movie. I don't know if I'd consider Sling Blade a horror movie. I'd have to watch it again. It's been a long time, but it's definitely creepy. So the original Twilight Zone, the little girl. Oh, is it? It's been so many years since I watched the Twilight Zone. I don't know if I've ever even seen probably half of the Twilight Zone episodes. I definitely saw some of them, but by the time I really could watch TV, I was like an older teenager, and so I wasn't really going back and watching a lot of the black and white stuff like I probably should at some point. Like TV-wise. I've watched all the movies. I've watched so many classic black and white movies, but just not a lot of TV series. Green Room is amazing, but I just found out that it's already gone from Tubi. It was literally on Tubi yesterday, and then for some reason I released the video today, and Tubi lets go. Oh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. And then Tubi lets go of Green Room. I hate when that happens. It drives me crazy. I don't have a way with Tubi especially of knowing what's coming or going. With Netflix, I'm able to somewhat track what's coming and going. With Shudder, I can tell somewhat what's coming and going, but I can never figure it out with Tubi. They have a little thing that says when stuff's going, and I do look at it, but it's never accurate. I swear, stuff leaves all the time that's not on that list. And then it's probably no secret, but I don't record these the day they come out. I record them 1 week, basically 1 week before is when I record it, because it takes me a week to edit in all the clips, edit all the raw footage, edit the audio, do all the stuff, make the thumbnail, like everything that goes into my weekly list videos. It's about 30 hours of work, and so it basically takes me the whole week to get it done, and then I throw it up a couple days early for all the Patreon members. So if you want to see my videos a couple days early and you want to help support me, because it means a lot to me, join the Patreon. So, Ghost Pirate Entertainment on Patreon. I'm really wanting to get a few more people over there so we can start doing cool hangouts and stuff like this with that real core people. Those are the people I call the Ghost Pirate Army, by the way. My patrons are the Ghost Pirate Army. But you members here, because now there's 3 of you members on the channel here, you guys are part of that Ghost Pirate Army too. I just don't know how to tie you guys in with the Patreon. Maybe I'll do something like a Discord or something like that where we'll hang out together with all the patrons and the channel members. I'll figure it out. What's a movie that disturbed you? The last movie that disturbed me was The Night House. Well, I was disturbed. The Night House really got to me. Like, there's been a few movies, definitely every year. I watch a lot of movies. There's a few movies that'll tickle my disturb bone a little bit, but the only one that really got to me that in recent memory was last year, The Night House. It's just such a moving, beautifully done movie. It's very dark, and it does this very unique thing, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it has a really unique way of presenting this notion, this idea that's such a uncomfortable way, at least for me. It's just done in such an uncomfortable looking and just concept. It's hard for me to even put into words, but that movie really got to me emotionally and just really got under my skin. But it didn't feel depressing to me, but just very moved and very disturbed and really had my wheels going. Another movie that really got me, not in a bothered so much as it just emotionally got to me, was You Won't Be Alone. And that was more of just touched by. It's a beautiful movie, but just so powerful. That movie is amazing. And that's a movie as well that everybody's sleeping on, that came out early this year, and I was lucky enough to see it in theaters at an art house theater. but it's such an incredible movie, and it's just blows my mind that more people don't know about that movie. It's a Bulgarian movie, I believe, but it's phenomenal. How long does each video take you to make? I just was saying that, but each video, the list videos, like a regular review only takes me a few hours. I've got it pretty good now where I can knock one of those out in a couple hours. But my list videos that I do every Wednesday, those take about 30 hours from beginning to end. Like the shooting part, there's all the getting the lights set up, there's getting everything set up for it, and then the shooting part takes a couple hours. Then there's about, I don't know, a few hours of just editing the raw footage. But then the part that really takes me a lot of time is the clips, the edit, because I don't just grab a trailer and drop it in there. I cut the trailers up in a way where I don't feel like it's giving away any spoilers about the movie. I have to move them in different ways too to get the algorithm to not demonetize the channel, because if you play a lot of clips, it'll rip, it'll take away the monetization, and then you don't make any money from them at all. And I don't make a lot of money at all from this channel, but it does help. It literally, without the money I'm making from this channel right now, I wouldn't be able to eat. Like, I'm a poor dude, but it's worth it to me to do what I'm doing right now, because I don't have full-time hours. I can't do a full-time other job and this channel, so I work part-time as a theater manager at a movie theater, and then I do this, but I spend probably 50, 60 hours at least every single week, probably a lot more than that, but at least 50 to 60 hours working on this channel every week. Let's see. Yeah, it's the Phantasm car. I'm sorry, it's the 1971 Plymouth Barracuda from the movie Phantasm. Here, let me give you guys a better look at it. And it's like die cast. Yeah. So the doors open. The hood opens. I can't get it to open because my fingers suck. But the hood opens. Like, yeah. Let's see here. Just curious, how long does each video take you to make? It's still in Canopy. I'm joining tonight once the stream ends. Awesome, Electra. It's great to have you joining the club, the crew. This Canopy, the library card type sign up. Hey, what's up, Boogeyman Ben? Everyone, that's my friend Ben. Go check his channel out. He is, to this day, I still think the only YouTuber I've ever met in person. But he's got an awesome channel where he reviews a lot of horror collectibles. Like, you should see this guy's collection. His horror collection is amazing. But he's just got a ton of cool content over there. Talks about movies, everything horror related. Just a truly great guy, too. So definitely go check out Boogeyman Bid's channel. Hitchcock, baby. Green Room is still on HBO Max and Canopy. Okay, nice. I'll let people know, so because I already had a couple of people being like, it's already gone from Tubi, so that way I can let them know. The Night House was my favorite movie from last year. I know it's not for everyone, but it's an amazing movie. I love that movie. And that's also why I was so excited when David Bruckner was announced to do the new Hellraiser. And I really enjoyed the new Hellraiser. Once again, it wasn't for everyone, but I did really enjoy it. I just think he's such a brilliant visionary. Like the way he sees horror, I think, is just really rad. Stephen King books in your video. What is your best movie based on his books? I'm not a big reader, so I haven't really read a lot of Stephen King. So I'm really not the best person to ask about that, but I'll just tell you my favorite Stephen King movie has got to be The Shining, even though it's not really his book. It's not really what he envisioned for his book. So probably it. Especially I love the miniseries. You know what? Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary would be my favorite Stephen King adaptation. Because I know it's not exactly like the book, but nothing ever really is. But the original Pet Sematary, I felt like really captured what a Stephen King book feels like, at least for me. And Christine was another really awesome adaptation. Well, 40 hours is a full-time job, so I work at the theater. I work between 28 and 35 hours a week, and then I put in, like I said, at least 50 to 60 hours on the channel, at least. I mean, pretty much when I'm awake, in one way or another, I'm working on the channel, because I'm always messing with ideas in one way or another. Even if I'm watching stuff, a lot of times I'm either watching horror movies that's going to go to things I review, or I'm watching other YouTube channels, which gives me the news I need, or it gives me ideas on how to edit things together, or just stuff to do with the channel in one way or another. Like, it's just my life. This is my life. Like, you guys are my family. That's really how it is at this point, you know? How many movies do you watch on average per week? About 20. Yeah, about 20 movies a week. And I don't necessarily watch the entirety of a movie, but it really depends on the list that I'm making. But I'll sometimes it's more than that, but I'll watch 20, 30 minutes of a ton of movies. And if it's just not grabbing me, it doesn't feel like something I'm going to want to recommend, I'll turn it off and throw another one on. But the whole entire movie, it's hard to say because it really depends on the week. But I'd say about 20 movies a week, give or take. Like, if it's like this Shudder one coming up, I'll watch probably at least 10 just for that list. But I know a lot of the ones like going in that I'm going to want to watch. Like, it's hard to explain, but like I've done a lot of research already, so I know a lot of the movies you guys have recommended or that have gotten really good reviews from people I know. Or it's a director. It's either way, I know that it's a movie I'm going to want to watch. So I don't have to weed through as many a lot of times. It's like I know I'm going to need 5 or 6 for this upcoming list because I already have a few in mind. And so I'll watch another 5 or 10 to get those last 5 that I need. But then, I don't know, man. I'm always watching movies, so it's hard to know how many every week because every day I watch a couple. And then on Mondays especially, I do nothing that entire day but watch movies and write notes. Like, that's what my whole entire Monday is. So, let's see. I like the new Hellraiser. Prey was phenomenal. I loved Prey. I absolutely loved Prey. I really liked Hellraiser too, but Prey is one that, like, you'll watch a movie and you'll enjoy it, but then as it soaks in and as you absorb it and think about it, you like it even more or like it less or whatever. Prey is one of those ones that the more I've talked about it, the more I've thought about it, the more I just love that movie. I love the fresh, original, unique way that it went. And I don't care about all the annoying woke people talking about it's woke, whatever. I think it was creative. I loved it. I don't care if it's a woman or a man playing the hero, man. To me, a hero's a hero. If you're a badass and you're enjoyable to watch and entertaining, why would I care what sex you are? Like, honestly, some of the very best protagonists we've ever had are females. Think about it. Ripley from Alien. I mean, Laurie Strode from Halloween. I mean, like, forever, our most badass is in horror is pretty much always women. Like, the villain guys are the dudes, and then the females are the badass leads. Like, I don't know. I get tired of hearing that because it's just a great lead is a great lead. I don't care what sex you are. Love Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is probably in my top 10 favorite movies ever. I've watched that movie at night. That one and The Fog and Phantasm. Those 3 I've played over and over. Oh, and the original Wolfman and the original The Mummy. Those ones are movies that I can't even tell you how many times I've watched them. Like, I've put them on before I go to sleep hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times. I have no desire to be filthy rich. If this movie or if this channel were to ever somehow generate a lot of money, a lot of that money would go right back into the horror world. Like I said, in producing movies, helping young actors get going, things like that. I have no desire to be rich. If I could, my dream would just be to live a nice little life, have a nice little house, one decent car, maybe an extra little fun car. But I have no desire to have lots of jewelry, lots of houses, lots of cars. None of that. Never have. It's just not my thing. I'd rather do things. Like, that's what's important to me, is have an impact and do things and be a part of something important. I don't care about the money part. It's you can't take it with you, man. It's like, what's the point? Have you checked out Benson and Moorhead's? No. Something in the Dirt. I've been really wanting to check it out. And I've been kind of like, I think I'd probably just wait till it hits Shudder or something like that. Because right now I think you still have to rent it. But if I get time and I have, on the schedule basically once a week I review a movie. So if I have a gap where I have time to review a movie by itself, I might do that one. I'm very interested to see it. I love what those guys do. The Endless, like they're awesome. And they do it on such a tiny little budget. They just signed a deal with FYZ Films. So they're like, I forget what the deal is, but for basically 10 movies. So they're going to finally get some real financing towards their movies. And I can't wait to see what those guys can come up with. They're brilliant. The thing is, my before bed morning throw on film. Yeah, that's another one that I've watched countless times. Like, I love The Thing. It is an absolute masterpiece. My favorite horror movie, I always say this, my favorite horror movie is Phantasm. But the movie that I think is the best horror movie ever made is The Thing. It's not my favorite but just slightly not my favorite, and that's just because I have more fun with Phantasm. But as far as the best made movie in horror, I think it's The Thing. And that's tough because I love a billion horror movies, but that movie is just a masterpiece. I've loved horror since I was 6, and I have never received a bad recommendation from this channel, unless it's intentional. See? Scott, you get it. Sometimes I recommend movies that are bad, and I'll explain why I think you should watch them. It's not that they're a good movie, it's that they're still entertaining in one way or another. A lot of people kind of miss that, and they'll be like, that movie's garbage, why would you recommend that? Like, I just recently recommended Resident Evil 2, and it's not a good movie. I say that straight up. It's not a good movie, but it's still super entertaining and fun, and the visuals of that movie are awesome. So, like, I think it's important to listen to why I'm saying you should watch it. Just because it's on the list doesn't mean I think it's a good movie. It's just, I think it's going to be an entertaining, fun watch for one reason or another. Aw, thank you, I wish I knew a way to say your name quickly, but LAFC Beast. I'm just going to call you Beast, alright? Are any of your tattoos horror related? Sorta. I have an outline on my leg, which you can't really see, but it's an outline of a bunch of different horror monsters that I've never been able to get finished. The guy that was going to do it got in some legal trouble, and I didn't really want to deal with the guy anymore, and it's just never gotten finished. And that's been there for like 20 years. But that was actually one of my first tattoos, and it's always been a dream of mine to get that finished one day, but I need either the money or a talented artist that is willing to throw some ink on me for little to no money or whatever. But one day I would love to get that finished. But it's got Pennywise, Wolfman, Pinhead, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, the Creature in the Black Lagoon. I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that's... Oh, no, I had it as a Dracula. But that's... Oh, no, and a mummy. But eventually the goal was to have this entire right leg just all horror movie symbols and portraits and stuff. I don't know if I'll live long enough to ever get that done, but I would like to. So, down the road. I love a movie that's so bad it's good. Exactly. And I actually used to do one every list that was the bad horror movie of the week or bad movie of the week. And it was just a shit movie that was just shitty and just fun to laugh at kind of thing. I might eventually bring that back, but I just, instead of doing that now, because I don't like calling the movies bad. I don't know. It's hard to explain because there's still people behind it who had a vision and are trying to do something. And even if they're trying to make, a bad movie, so to speak, they're still trying, they have good intentions in one way or another, if that makes sense. And so calling it bad, it just feels like I'm shitting on the movie and saying there's no value in it. And I don't really think that. If it's on my recommendation list, and some people don't understand what my list every Wednesday are, but that's what they are. They're a rec list. And so I'm recommending you watch them. And so rather than saying a bad movie of the week, I just instead tell you, hey, this isn't a great movie, but here's why I think you should watch it. Does that make sense? I love a movie. Something in the Dirt is a really good movie, but you can't go into expecting to get scared. It's more of a psychological thriller. Yeah, I would never go into a Benson Moorhead movie expecting to be scared. That's not really their thing. Although, I don't know when I've been scared in a movie last. Like, honestly, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, nothing scares me. I've seen so many, I don't really get scared by them. Things can still kind of get under my skin, but nothing scares me. That's not what turns me on about movies. It never has. That's not what I'm attracted to in horror. I love the creativity behind horror. I love the storytelling. I love all those things. It's not because to me, wanting to get scared, that's more of a little kid thing, Like, when you get older and you've seen enough movies, you kind of don't get scared by it anymore. It's not real, so it doesn't necessarily scare you. But it could disturb you, or it could creep you out, or it can make you feel emotions, or all these interesting things that you can do with horror movies, but it doesn't have to make you scared. And so, yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know, kind of rambling a little bit. All right, guys, I am getting very tired, and I still have a lot of work to do. The podcast just dropped. I just did that a couple hours ago and just dropped it a little while ago. Please go check it out. The podcast means a lot to me, and there's not really an algorithm kind of thing like YouTube that will just kind of pick up the podcast and start showing people. I really need your guys' help with it. So if you get a chance, go to any streaming service. It doesn't matter which one. Any place you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, any place where you get your music, your podcast, and go look up the Ghost Pirate Podcast and just listen to it. Even if you just put it on for background noise, it really will help me a ton because I need to get some traction with it. I need to get it out there and people to start kind of hearing about it so that it could become something too, because it's another thing that I feel like it's a way for something like this, where I can really talk to you guys and get to know you guys. And you guys can email me and eventually maybe get a Discord going in sync with the podcast or something. So I got a lot of dreams and goals that I want to accomplish. But I am still going to do this, like I said, tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if any of you guys want to come hang out again tomorrow at 2 p.m., and it'll be a little more dialed. I'll have the lights on and actually plan on doing a podcast. Have my questions that I got from the patrons. And yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. And everybody for your donations, joining the membership. Like, you guys are all just amazing. And I really, really appreciate you all. But like always, remember, guys, horror can be fun. I'll see you guys next time.